What is a President's Cruise anyway? Well, it's a very special sailing where top executives, including Royal Caribbean's president and CEO, among many other top leadership, sail on this cruise once a year. And guess what? It's open for all guests. So this cruise has so many noticeable special touches that make it truly a unique experience. Because this is my first President's Cruise, and we have some fun things to talk about, along with a little brief announcement. So if you ever thought, wow, Alana shares so many helpful videos and I got so much out of watching this, of what she shared, do me a favor and share it with a friend. You can support me and follow me through all of my social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, at Alana Zingano, and come hang out and let me know that you came on over to say hello. Appreciate it more than you know. And I want to take a special moment and thank all of my Patreons. You guys help keep this ship afloat. So thank you guys so much. If you're looking to join my Patreon and be a part of that special tight-knit community, it is growing and I've relaunched it. So I'm very excited to be sharing a lot of behind the scenes and some of those really intimate kind of updates over there. So be sure to check that out. So let's dive into today's video, but you're going to want to make sure you stay to the end because we're going to be discussing exactly why folks will not be rebooking the President's Cruise again next year. So this cruise is sailing out of the port of Galveston, which was brand new. It actually just opened last year in November of 2022. So right when we get on to the terminal, there's so many special backdrops for us to take our photos. We knew upon entering this cruise terminal that we were embarking on a very special cruise, and we had hats, balloons, the festivities were starting, got our safety briefing out of the way, and it was time to head to our very first party before we even pulled out of port. Can you believe that? There was a party before the sail away party. I've never experienced that, and that was something that really just kicked off our first impressions, and it was complimentary. You guys get me on saying that wrong. Still can't get it right. Sometimes I screw it up. Complimentary. Tacos and tequila at Samba Grill. Who doesn't love a good margarita with some tacos? But this was quite the feast right on board the Allure. And this was actually my first impression of how warm and friendly the crew on Allure of the Seas are. I actually sailed on Allure of the Seas back in November when this terminal first opened, and you can tell from these initial moments the buzz that everyone was feeling to be on board for this special sailing. So after we got our bellies full with all of the delicious tacos, it was sail away party and time to move on inside, actually due to some inclement weather. So that's kind of a bummer, but it was in full swing. So we had our Texas flags, our Texas cowboy hats. We were adorned with also a Texas flag, so lots of Texas pride, and it was line dancing and doing a little bit of the wobble to have some fun. Now, with this particular sailing, the Crown and Anchor program was actually celebrating their 25 years of loyalty here. So we actually saw so many different gestures and thank yous and certain types of events and parties and even gifts that we got to come home with depending on our Crown and Anchor status. So very early in the cruise, on some of the paperwork that was delivered to our room, we actually had a cheat sheet, and this was a breakdown depending on our loyalty status of all of the specific events or parties that were designated for which level you were. So depending if you were right at the beginning with Gold, or if you were at the tippy top of the club with Pinnacle Club, you knew what type of things you would want to make sure on which days you were attending. And of course, Pinnacle is the top level of the Crown and Anchor party. And what I thought was really actually interesting is that they actually had a record-breaking number of Pinnacles on board with 547. The most number of exclusive parties and gifts were delivered to Pinnacle staterooms on board. They definitely had a really good time, and I think spoiled in such a good way. So they honored guests who even turned Pinnacle on this cruise as well during a special Crown and Anchor loyalty event. So this was really cool to witness. Hashtag goals. I want to turn Pinnacle on a President's Cruise just for all the special adoration, and it just sounds amazing. One thing that really surprised me though here throughout the cruise, and this was a good surprise, was the amount of giveaways. They kicked off right here at the loyalty event and really throughout the cruise. So every event and party they gave away swag and a combination of both free cruises on Icon of the Seas and Utopia of the Seas, which again, hashtag goals, we all want to be sailing on those upcoming cruises, which are just, my gosh, months away. Crazy. But the itineraries and where we were sailing on these ports of call are different. They'll be different next year as well, which is already announced considering, but here's the thing. History usually repeats itself. Perhaps you will be sailing back to these ports of call, and we can probably expect more impressive parties like the ones I'm about to talk about in next year's ports of call as well. Just similar, but with different aspects and different locations. So first up being our first port of call was Roatan, Honduras. This is the Island Jam in Roatan, and this was a ticketed excursion, a beach break at the brand new Turquoise Bay Dive and Beach Resort. Well, I'm not exactly sure on how brand new this is or if they went through a revamp, but we definitely felt how special the day was with Michael Bailey. You could see him walking around, saying hello to guests and shaking hands, kissing babies. Just kidding on the kissing babies part, but it was a really special all-inclusive experience. They had a huge setup for food and a ton of variety, from barbecue and tacos and salad. Alcoholic beverages were also included. I got the opportunity to walk around here and enjoy all that this resort offered here, and we used our time wisely checking out all of the new 2-floor cabanas. Those were brand new to that space here, and you could tell that those were very luxurious. And we actually did some excursions there as well, took advantage of the kayaking and the horseback riding.
We're gonna go head through to the mangroves. Onward! Oh my gosh. I have not been horseback riding since my 8th birthday. Also a little scared of horses, but this is gonna be cool. Okay. Ooh, bug spray. All right, important stuff. Here we go. Wow, they just picked lemongrass here for us, and with the avocado trees. A little sample, huh? We're not supposed to eat it.
They welcomed us right as soon as we arrived as well with fresh coconut waters, which were just so refreshing. If you like coconut water, yum, out of a coconut itself, stamped with the President's Cruise. Very luxurious vibes. They even had overwater cabanas as well, so we felt very well taken care of. The one thing to note though about those excursions and how we spent our day is that they were first come, first serve, and spaces were limited depending on what you wanted to sign up for. We actually signed up for those while we were still on the ship and had to do that the day prior. So I would definitely go back to this dive center next time I'm in Roatan. Now our next party brings us to another port of call, which is Costa Maya. A royal day in Costa Maya, as they called it. Now this was simply epic. I've never seen anything like this before. Buckle up, it's quite the party here. Royal Caribbean really went the extra mile and made sure that it was just Royal Caribbean ships in port that day. It was us, President's Cruisers, on the Allure of the Seas and Serenade of the Seas, which is the ship that will be doing the world cruise that kicks off later this year in December. And we had the entire port to ourselves, truly making it the royal takeover. Now, Michael Bailey, the president and CEO of Royal Caribbean, came out with Ken Rush, and he has a very long title, which we got to see a lot of him as well, which you'll see in other videos as well. Spoiler, Mario Trivia, check that out. But there was so much dancing. They kicked off the party and it was just a wild pool party with the swim up bars. If you haven't been in a little while, like I had, I was so impressed to see. I was only there a few months prior, but there was a whole new section of the port. So if you haven't been, or if this is your first time, I want you to go and explore Costa Maya, get off the ship, explore the port there, because there's a completely new swimming area, a pool with a swim up bar and a flow rider. So surfs up. Of course, your ship probably has some flow riders, one or at least two. And you know what? There's quite a few flow riders within the Royal Caribbean fleet. So I'm on the top of my mind as I just did the trivia video and edited that one, which has how many? You'll have to check that out to see, but it's over 20. So it was an incredibly hot day when we were in Costa Maya. I will tell you that all of us were taking advantage of the free lunch and free drinks that were included. This was not a ticketed event. It was free for all of us. You did not have to have a wristband to attend, and also free for the other ship as well, which was great. So we all were really taking advantage of all the pools, staying hydrated at those bars. So it did get crowded, but it was a really fun activity. Now, if you've been to Costa Maya, you might know that there's other activities that you can participate there as well, like swimming with dolphins or visiting the aviary or just dining at a sit-down restaurant there and grabbing more bites to eat. Now, those type of activities did cost money. They weren't a part of the Royal Takeover and the Royal Day in Costa Maya, but it was top-notch, something I've never seen before. Now, our next port of call was Cozumel. We did have a stop here, and for those guests who were invited on this excursion, you were extra special because Royal really used this cruise as an opportunity to thank so many of their cruisers who participated in their different programs. And this experience was a very special thank you for those guests who have their Visa card and have had their Visa card for all 20 years that it's been available. We went off and did an excursion on with Royal Caribbean on our own, though we did not participate in that as I don't have the Royal Caribbean Visa gift card and definitely haven't had it for 20 years. But we did an excursion at the Explore Adventure Park. This was my first time that I've gone over to Playa del Carmen. That day was jam-packed, and I honestly feel like it needs its own video to recap this excursion because it was amazing. If you're interested in that, let me know if you're looking for something fun, different for you to do in Cozumel. It was so much fun. I really, really enjoyed it. But let's jump back on board and discuss some of the aspects of the ship. Let's briefly talk about the food here, as this cruise was extra special that I got the opportunity to participate in my very first chef table experience. Chef kiss for this, my goodness. But it wasn't just any celebration here. It was actually the one and only Super Mario's birthday that I was invited by him to participate in. Such a treat, my goodness. The table itself was beautiful. Of course, all of the courses with the wine pairings with every dish, simply unreal. So if you're curious about where you can eat on board the Allure of the Seas, I actually have an entire video dedicated to that. I'll link it in the description box. So if you want to check that out, you can see that as well. And if you didn't know, the Allure is actually coming to Miami in the coming months, so you can sail on her, not just out of Galveston, but out of Miami very soon. So let's talk about those ship highlights as well, not only for as an opportunity to sail not just on President's Cruise, but it was a beautiful ship here, the cleanliness, but it was also very much beautifully decorated for President's Cruise. We saw so many different balloon arches all the way from the terminal to on board the cruise, floral decor throughout the ship, and so many different special touches. So Royal Caribbean actually brought on one of their most favorited cruise directors, Mike from Canada. He's actually been the cruise director on previous President's Cruise before, so they thought that he would be a good fit and came back on board. He was actually the cruise director on Wonder of the Seas inaugural sailing as well, so he took good care of us and kicked off a lot of the entertainment and the production shows, which, you know what, let's talk about those as well. So there were so many excellent touches, especially from sailing from Galveston, that they brought a mariachi band on board that performed multiple times throughout the cruise. And for those who actually know about mariachi bands, they highly raved about them as how good they were. So I thought that was impressive for those who actually have that knowledge on that. They brought out the Country Crew Trio, and these members of this band play on the mason jar on the Wonder of the Seas, and they were brought in just for this cruise only, which I thought was really special and really cool. Now, of course, there was a celebrity performance. We had Chaka Khan, the R&B legend, play on our cruise. She's won 10, count them, 10 Grammy Awards, and she had 2 different performances on our cruise. Of course, there was aqua shows as well, and another special performer within the aqua show, and he was actually announced that he will be a part of the Icon of the Seas aqua show. So this was cool because he's from the Ukraine, and he's actually top rated in the world for what he does. So very special to get another peek of what's coming and the new ships and getting that special treat as well. The best of the best, and especially within the Royal Caribbean's entertainment, onto this experience for us to enjoy with all of their top entertainers, and that goes for comedians as well, and along with other type of bands and performances like Mosaic, which I've seen a couple different times across different ships as well. So the President's Cruise specific entertainment activities, events, and parties, because it kept going. One of my favorites actually was the Icon and Utopia immersion. Of course, I'm a nerd for all things cruising and upcoming ships. I want to know all the details, so give them to me. I loved this. This was early in the morning, kicking off day 2, a sea day of the cruise, and led right into a Q&A with Michael Bailey, where he announced actually the next President's Cruise. From there was chef showdowns, cooking demonstrations with famous John Rivers from the Floridian barbecue. So if you're familiar with that, there was also a garden spritz. There was actually 2 of these, one for Diamond and Diamond Plus, and also Pinnacle as well. The Royal Roundup was another incredible party, which we can actually, they announced it was such a hit that we can probably see this becoming a very popular thing coming on sailings from Galveston, as it was line dancing. I did not want this party to actually end, not just for the line dancing aspect, but the vibe was incredible and so much fun. Now, the one special activity that unfortunately I didn't make it to was a trip down memory lane, which is a bummer because I love all nostalgia, but this was one event that I did miss. So you can participate in that next time, but then they tied it with a bow with one last party on the Royal Promenade, which was the Royal Fiesta. So again, tying in those Galveston elements with mariachi bands and another fiesta. So many different activities as well on the Allure of the Seas, from my Mamma Mia, the Crazy Quest, guys, so much fun. The Boardwalk Bonanza, which is a great family fun event as well. So if you're looking forward to those just ship activities, depending if it's President's Cruise or not, you can find those as well. Now, one other thing to note is the new menu coming to Schooner Bar this summer and rolling out on to all the ships in the fleet. And I actually got an opportunity to participate in a cocktail demonstration with some of the newest drinks that are coming to the Schooner Bar, as well as some very popular, familiar favorites that are staying on the menu, like the lavender daiquiri. We're saved. Our fave is still there. So I got to actually sample quite a few brand new cocktails that will also be featured on Icon of the Seas. And if you'd like to see some recipes so you can kind of make those at home before you get a chance, be sure to check out my Instagram, as I will be posting all of those, and you can check that out very soon. Now, do we think that the President's Cruise is a good opportunity to sail with your kiddos? I actually did not sail with my daughter, Valencia, but I was actually surprised by how many kids were on board this sailing. More than I actually thought. So here's the thing. There were even first-time cruisers on this. Now, can you imagine stepping on board and thinking and not knowing any different that this was a very special cruise? Folks who didn't know anything about President's Cruise or really anything about cruising, because of course they're first-time cruisers. How funny that would have been to experience all of these incredible parties and extras. So yes, there was lots of kids on board, lots of first-time cruisers, and folks who have cruised before as well and didn't even know that this was a President's Cruise. So the cruise operated with normal events as well, and even the kids club being open, and it operated just as a normal sailing with its scheduled hours as well. President's Cruise specific merchandise. Now, if you've cruised before any other specific sailing, whether it's a brand new ship or just in the inaugural season, you know that merchandise can sell out really quickly, and they often have really cute stuff from hats and shirts and rash guards. And I did notice a few items within the Royal Caribbean shops as well that weren't President's Cruise merch, but actually just new items. So if you are sailing very soon, you can expect to see new items on the Allure and also other ships, because it was Royal Caribbean merchandise specific. But any type of special sailing, these type of items go quickly. I heard that actually the baseball caps were very hot commodities and actually gave away so much merch as well. Some of that was limited editions. And one thing that you can look out for on a future sailing is that they actually did pre-orders in advance for this merchandise, which I didn't know about in advance. So I thought that was actually really smart. And I saw them set up for the pre-orders and all of the people who did get an opportunity to take advantage of that. So if you're looking for specific sizes and things of that sort, it's very smart. Let's talk about some very new and expensive merchandise. We're talking about fine jewelry. Now, if you don't like fine jewelry, do not click off this video, because you're going to want to hear about this. On the Icon of the Seas, regardless if you're interested in purchasing, this is something you want to know about. There's going to be a Royal Bling store. We are going to be able to purchase fine jewelry with crown and anchors on it. Why do we care? Because Royal has never done this before. Actually, this is proven to be such a hot commodity that in other ports of call, like Cozumel and places, other jewelers have started to take notice that we want to buy these things. From cufflinks to necklaces to earrings with the famous crown and anchor on it. You can go buy it in those places, but you couldn't buy it on board Royal Caribbean. Oh, well, now you can. So let's dive into the baby bling. So this was a very special release of these two different type of necklaces. And first with the baby bling, it's a limited edition that was available during, or a limited release during the President's Cruise. And I was actually told that these baby blings sold out. This necklace is just shy of 1 carat of gold, and it went for $36.50. Now, the big bling is significantly larger, with 14 carats of diamonds, 14 carats of gold, 29 grams of gold, and came in at, you could bring it home for $39,000. White gold will also be available on the Icon of the Seas, and they're taking pre-orders. So if you guys are seriously interested in buying those, it's likely that a lot of them will sell out on Icon of the Seas as well. So if you're seriously interested, I have the contact for that, and I will go ahead and provide that for you, but I want it to be those who are really interested. So go ahead and, send me a note, DM me, email me, and I'll provide that to you. Why are folks who attended this year's already thinking that they're not going to sail next year? Well, like I mentioned, the President's Cruise for next year was actually announced during the Common Ground with Michael Bailey, which was day 2 of the cruise. And I understand that that's somewhat of tradition, that the following year doesn't get announced until day 2 of the next year. So next year is going to be on Oasis of the Seas in summer of June 2024 out of Barcelona. Now, it's kind of far out in advance for all of the exact parties and events for us to look forward to. But what we do know is that it's a Mediterranean cruise. And of course, Mediterranean cruises are very port intensive. So lots of different stops for us to go to. So given that we know that there's a lot of different parties and special events and special excursions available for us as the cruise stops to, we can suspect that there will be some really great events in those destinations. Now, here's the thing. The timeline of this cruise is really problematic for a lot of Royal Caribbean's most loyal guests. First up being that it is very close to Utopia of the Seas launching next summer. Right? Are you booked on Utopia? Have you thought about this one yet? It's sailing 3 and 4 day short sailings out of Port Canaveral. But it's going to be something that a lot of folks have actually already talked up to being something that they can't participate in because they already have a Europe trip planned next summer and they just can't swing in the budget a second flight to Europe twice in one summer. So a lot of people either have a cruise booked or a different trip booked during that time frame. Additionally, some of Royal Caribbean's most loyal guests will already be sailing on Serenade of the Seas with next summer doing the World Cruise. Either they're participating in the entire World Cruise or they're participating in perhaps some of the segments that they've broken up during that time. Tough choice here, but if you're curious if I will be going, never say never. I typically don't plan my cruises out more than a few months in advance, which of course isn't the best for budget-wise and capturing those deals as early as far out as you can is my always recommendation, but it's do as I say, not as I do here. But it really had a blast on this cruise, and I actually would like to go next year sailing out of Barcelona. I think it's a fantastic itinerary. I love Oasis of the Seas. That ship has a special place in my heart. I would have an amazing time with all of the unique experience that I know they are going to serve us. And together with all of my 45 plus cruises that I've been on, I've never had so many special touches on one sailing. So yeah, I would really like to go. It would be worth it to me, but time will tell if I pull the trigger on that one or not. We're just gonna have to wait and see. But if you want all of the details on next year, I have the link in the description box for you to check out all of the deets for what they have released thus far. And of course, as time goes on, they'll be releasing more information about next year's President's Cruise as well. Friends, I had a blast. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to share it with your cruise community, folks who are interested in cruising content as well. Be sure to hit the thumbs up and check out this video right here that I know you will love and enjoy. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time, ciao for now.